This is the Wrestling Old Head. You have entered the portal of pro wrestling.
What the world is watching.
JD McDonough was on the Chris Van Vliet podcast, and he had an interesting comment to make about the backstage segments that were going on Raw and on SmackDown, about the little details that, that are in the background, guys hanging out, maybe a, shadowy figure in the back like Shinsuke Nakamura, or during the Judgment Day backstage vignettes, where the t-shirts are placed, and just certain things that they were watching out from. For a while, I was always looking at it like, is this a setup for something that's going to happen later on down the line? And sometimes there are things that happen where I'm like, is that a coincidence, or did they plan that? Lately, the WWE has been exploring the art of storytelling a lot more than they have normally done in the past 2 or 3 decades. And it's a welcome and refreshing change because it focuses you, the viewer, to pay more attention to what's going on. So you don't have to just have it playing in the background while you're doing other things, because if that's going on and you're not paying attention, you might be missing a pivotal story beat that can play out later on, months down the line, that really can connect the dots for you a lot easier. It's one of the great things that I am enjoying about WWE programming lately, and it's also forcing me to think outside of the box, because not only are they just setting up their storylines in a way where you're forced to pay attention to the details, but they're also providing several options of roads that you can go down to which the story will conclude. And usually they pick the one that you're really not sure about, the one that you know for a fact, oh, it's going to lay out this way, it's going to happen this way. It's usually the one that they decide against. And lately they have been keeping me, as well as a ton of fans of professional wrestling alike, on their toes, and really taking more of Kansas City shuffle route, if you will, to borrow a phrase from a Bruce Willis, Josh Hartnett movie. If that's what they're doing, then I want to explore the art of storytelling in the WWE currently by going over a few of the top storylines and where they could potentially be going based on the information provided, based on the superstars and their character development, and just where I feel like they're going to take us as far as maybe giving us a look on one direction and then shifting and going an entirely different direction. Okay, and one of the first stories that I want to talk about is in regards to the character of Karrion Kross and his trajectory. Now, if you've been following this channel, you know that I've been talking about Karrion Kross on this channel for a long time. I've loved his evolution as a character, from the Final Testament going into the Devil That You Know, the Devil on the Shoulder that he's doing currently. But even before that, I've been following him when he was in MLW, through his independent circuit run, back into NXT, all the way to the WWE when he was let go, and he went back through the independent circuit and absolutely crushed it, all the way back to the WWE. So I'm very excited to see that they're giving him a character that he's allowed to sink his teeth into, and it seems to me that they're really giving him the free rein to cultivate this unique character that is inserting himself in these pivotal points in these superstars' careers, to where they're having these defining changes, and he seems to be a part of it in somehow. You can link him to guys like Drew McIntyre, like Seth Rollins. You can link him to the Street Profits. These are things, if you go down these rabbit holes, he's had a real big following. His following has increased over Twitter, and these guys that are more observant, that are more aware, are piecing and threading these things together better than I ever could, and they're all available on Karrion Kross's Twitter page, his X account. They show you like this evolution, this trajectory of this Karrion Kross character, and how he's been involved in all these different characters, changes, their attitude changes, and now it seems to be that he's tied to Sami Zayn rather. He's tied to Sami Zayn in some way, and so a lot of people have been theorizing that that's possible for a WrestleMania match. Whether it is a Sami Zayn, or I've done a video where I explain that it could be possible that they could do something with a Finn Balor, where the Judgment Day, the iteration of the Judgment Day that was at the beginning, the genesis of the Judgment Day, which was Edge and Damian Priest and Finn Balor and Dominic Mysterio and Rhea Ripley, that Judgment Day is no more. This is a completely different Judgment Day with completely different objectives and trajectories. Finn is kind of like hanging around there, and I think eventually what you're going to see is that the Judgment Day is more than likely going to kick Balor out. That's been teased for a while, and in that he's going to be left without a home. He's going to be he's going to be down in the dumps. There's no JD McDonough, which was one of his best friends. He's not going to be around because he's injured. That is when Karrion Kross can swoop in and help bring the demon out. The devil on the shoulder, bring the demon out. That is an amazing character transition there. A good story, a good program that would help elevate Balor and help put Karrion Kross into a position to where he can start having matches again, where he can be out in front of the live audience. Another thing with this Karrion Kross character is I would not be surprised if when he shows up in front of a live audience on stage or in the ring for a match, that the crowd is going to positively react. Now, one thing that I've noticed on his X account is that over the past few months, he has seen a surge in his following. People are way more invested and interested in this character by watching his skits and his segments that end up on X or that are on the international feed on Netflix. So people are way more invested, way more familiar with Karrion Kross than before. So I would not be surprised if when you see him on TV that he actually gets a positive reception. The way that he's been doing these homages to these movies that I grew up watching, like Beetlejuice, it's really nice to see him being able to get out there and be himself and really help evolve this character. And he's got a great mind for the business. And if you've ever watched any of his interviews, very fascinating individual. And I'm super, super excited to see what they're going to do with him going forward. As far as this character arc, as far as this story goes and where they're going to go with it, they can go so many different routes. He's essentially the Joker. He's the devil on your shoulder. He's the one that is manipulating and toying and bringing the worst out of these heroes. And I mean, there's so many heroes that are out there. John Cena, you can actually connect him to the John Cena turn. I like to think that, The Rock would say that he's the final boss and he's like this soul taker, but he's really honestly playing second fiddle to what Karrion Kross has been doing since the beginning, because Karrion Kross has got way more body counts than The Rock as far as soul taking. And if you do the digging and go down the rabbit hole, it'll show you that there's proof in that. So whether or not they put Karrion Kross in a match at WrestleMania, I would really like to see, instead of him just kind of like circling around like an AJ Styles, to get involved in some of the title scenes, whether it be the US title with LA Knight and Shinsuke Nakamura and Carmelo Hayes and Andrade, or if you put him in the Intercontinental title scene, which is his home on Raw, and put him with Braun Breaker and Sheamus and guys like that. I think they can do some multi-man matches there that can be pretty exciting. Whatever they do with Karrion Kross going forward, I am up for it. I'm super excited, and it is pleasing to know that there is some creative freedom in what Karrion Kross is doing. They just need to find a way to thread it on television, because I'm telling you, his style is captivating, and what he's doing right now, it needs that attention. So I look forward to it. And so we're going to move on. Let's look at the storyline between Cody Rhodes and John Cena currently. The Cody Rhodes John Cena story started off with The Rock and Cody Rhodes. It was the final boss asking for the soul of Cody Rhodes. This came out of nowhere because on the debut of Raw on Netflix, it was like they erased the entire 2024 storyline between The Rock and Cody Rhodes, in which The Rock had come out after Cody Rhodes had finished his story at WrestleMania and said, look, you're the crowd's champion and you're my champion. Just don't ever break my heart again. And then he disappeared into the sunset. He came back at Bad Blood later that year. He gave the 3 and then did the slice across the neck with his thumb, and then he disappeared again. And then he comes back for the Raw on Netflix, and it's like none of that has ever happened. We're going to have some tequila. We're going to talk and party and have a good time. And now you're my best friend. You're my good friend. You're my buddy, Cody Rhodes. That's what The Rock was essentially doing. And then he comes out and on a SmackDown and brings out Cody Rhodes. And on a week or two before Elimination Chamber, asked Cody Rhodes for his soul. And that shook the entire wrestling community. Everybody was up in arms. What does this mean? Did they even have this planned out? Is this on-the-fly booking? Are they just winging it? And there were several reports that corroborated that story. Doesn't seem like it is too on-the-fly as it is. It seems like they definitely had a plan. And if you go back and watch some interviews, listen to some interviews from John Cena and Cody Rhodes, this has been in the cards. And what was inevitably in the cards was John Cena, after Cody Rhodes said, "Hey Rock, go fuck yourself," John Cena turned on John Cena turned on Cody Rhodes and joined The Rock. After that, we have not seen John Cena. He's basically been MIA. The story here is that John Cena is going to attempt to get his 17th World Championship, which would break Ric Flair's record in the WWE canon, not historically, because I think Ric Flair's real record is something like 26 or 27 World Championships. But within the WWE canon, within their folklore, then it's about 16, I think. So John Cena going for the record at this point, it being his final year. This is the story that they have set up. Cody Rhodes, the American Nightmare, the heir apparent to John Cena, if you will, is now in the driver's seat. He is the quarterback, and the former quarterback, John Cena, is taking an entirely different route in his final year by aligning with the final boss, The Rock, a former arch nemesis, if you will. So, looking at this story now, I'm starting to wonder what direction they can go in, because at WrestleMania, it is going to be Cody Rhodes and John Cena. The way that I see it playing out, fairly obvious to me, John Cena wins. A ton of overbooked interference ensues. John Cena ends up winning his 17th World Championship. But how do we get here? And who should be a part of it? The way that I'm looking at it currently is that John Cena should not really show up face-to-face with Cody Rhodes until about a week or two before WrestleMania. They're advertising him for this Monday's Raw in Belgium. I don't think he should show up. The way that I'm looking at it is, look, the crowd in Belgium is just going to be happy to see John Cena in his final run, showing up in Belgium. I don't know when the WWE is coming back in Belgium. I can't imagine them showing back up in Belgium in 2025. So this will be an opportunity for them to see a legend in John Cena. And what better heel thing to do than to show up via satellite, claim that, hey, I'm busy filming a movie, I can't be there, but Cody, nice to see you, man. Look forward to wrestling you one-on-one. Not hamming it up, not going ultra heel, pretending as if he's just business as usual, that nothing has happened, but that he's not in the arena. That, I believe, would be a good step in getting the crowd to shit all over John Cena and cheer Cody Rhodes, who is actually there in the building and in the ring. It also is a good parallel, juxtapose the old John Cena versus this new iteration of John Cena, where the old John Cena would have been there 9 times out of 10. Even if he was hurt, he would have shown up in the arena because he never quit. He always put in the work. And as opposed to this John Cena, who is never there. So to continue that, he should not be there. And what that leads to is a pissed off Cody Rhodes, an angrier Cody Rhodes. A Cody Rhodes that's on a mission to make this more than just a victory, but to really wake this John Cena up and bring out the old John Cena. Not basic thugonomics John Cena, but hustle, loyalty, and respect John Cena. So yes, culminating at WrestleMania, I do see the only way that they can continue this story is if John Cena wins the 17th World Championship at WrestleMania. It would be a good, a succession to last year's WrestleMania, in which Cody finished the story. It was a happy ending. You got the fireworks. You got his name in the universe. That is, was one of the greatest endings to WrestleMania of all time. Now what you have is a situation where a new chapter, a darker chapter, is being written is Cody Rhodes going to be able to triumph overall against John Cena and The Rock when John Cena wins this year's WrestleMania? That's how I see this playing out. I also wouldn't be surprised if John Cena does not retire this year as well, if he decides to stick around a little bit longer. I mean, the guy's not even 50 yet. So this whole I'm retiring and this is my last year, it really could have been to throw us off the scent of a heel turn. The crowd loved him more than ever when he was coming out. When he came out in Canada for Bad Blood, I believe it was Bad Blood, where he announced that he was going to retire. When he came out at the Royal Rumble in January, overall majority of the crowd loved him. So you got to look at his character arc here, and how you really get the crowd to hate him is if he says, I'm not retiring. If he does run roughshod over the WWE as world champion with the final boss around him. I mean, Rock did say, if you don't give me your soul, Cody Rhodes, this is all over. The American dream is over again. So what better way to crush Cody Rhodes' dream than for him to lose at WrestleMania? Now, I've also thought about it. They're in Vegas. Stone Cold Steve Austin could make a return, come out, give the stunner to The Rock, give the stunner to John Cena. I mean, that place would come unglued. This would be one of the biggest moments in WWE. But to do that and then for Cody to lose, I think they would have to do something very special in order to do that. Because, I mean, to build the tension, to build the anxiety, to build the suspense there, they can have Stone Cold come out and then, Cody goes for the 3 count and it's a 2 3/4. I mean, that would be huge. The crowd would have bought into it. They would have thought it was going to be over. That is something that would add a level of drama to that match as well. But as we're looking at it, I can definitely see it being overbooked to be damned, and that John Cena wins. Now, on the other side of that, you've got John Cena's opponents already lined up. They're already ready. They're already set up and ready to go here. You've got, obviously, their rematch with Cody is signed, sealed, and delivered, essentially. Before you even get there, you can have John Cena and CM Punk, John Cena and Seth Rollins, John Cena and Roman Reigns, John Cena and R-Truth, John Cena and Randy Orton, John Cena going at LA Knight. There's so many options. AJ Styles, so many options for John Cena to explore now, where the alignments have switched, where now John Cena is a heel, these individuals are now a face. So those are fresh matchups in that sense, in which they would add a different element to these matches that we've seen countless times. Now they're flipped upside down. It's the upside down universe there in that regard. And on the other side of that, the way that I see the story playing out, as I'm sure others see this as well, is that eventually John Cena sees the light, whether he's looking up into the stars and he sees the bright lights and he realizes he had messed up and he's trying to make things right. So he helps Cody Rhodes, or he helps Randy Orton, or he gives the FU to the final boss, The Rock. These are all things that you can see happening towards the end of December, and as he goes out into and bid farewell, bid adieu, then this will be a good come to Jesus moment for John Cena, and then he can walk off into the sunset as a hero, cheered more than ever, with fans wishing and hoping that this wouldn't be the last time that we see him. So that's a good story arc. I don't know how they would tell this story in a year, and they don't have a lot of time, but it can be a very interesting story arc. So like I said, I don't know if John Cena is going to be retiring this year. It would be a very heel thing for him to do that, take that off the table, and he'll say, I'll be around as long as I'm the champion. And I can definitely see that. I would hope that he comes out to like the champ is here. That would be a really cool, something like epic, something orchestra, something, different from what he would normally come out to. He should walk out, cerebral. He should be stoic, no energy, very nonchalant, very Hollywood, maybe red carpet, something like that. And then he can stick around well past January if he's still the champion. And then eventually, like I said, he has that moment where he realizes the error of his ways and he wants to go out back as the John Cena that we once know. It's a great character arc for him, and I think it could be something that is interesting. And that's where I think that story could go. Another story, Jade Cargill, Bianca Belair, and Naomi. Now, this is an interesting story as well because Bianca, I assumed, would have been the one that attacked Jade Cargill. It seemed like they were setting up for that. And they went and pivoted a different way. And instead of it being Bianca, it ended up being Naomi. And the way that we found out wasn't how we normally find out, whether they found the backstage camera footage or she came out and pretended and hugged Jade and then attacked her. No, we found out by Jade coming back at Elimination Chamber, beating the holy hell out of Naomi, and then Bianca confronting Naomi. And through a tearful back and forth, we found out that it was actually Naomi. Naomi admitted to doing it. It tore Bianca apart and then left her crestfallen as Jade Cargill came out and attacked Naomi again. Very interesting story development. I don't think Bianca is out of the woods with this one yet either. I think she is also a suspect at this moment. Jade has not embraced Bianca as a friend currently. There is still some tension between the two. And Jade mentioned this past Friday on SmackDown that to see Bianca still hanging out and partnering with Naomi after the attack, as if Bianca should know. I thought that was very interesting. But one thing that I must say is that I don't feel the baby face in Jade Cargill. Like, I don't feel that she is the underdog here. She very much comes off, looks, exudes a heel, in my opinion. So this is going to be interesting how they develop this, because very easily the crowd could side with Naomi, who they love, who they find easy to love. She's got the smile, the personality. She has got that vibe of like the fans loving her, okay? She's very easy to love. So even her doing this and saying that she did it for Bianca like Rikishi did for The Rock, it's still, they got to do something to get us to buy in to the fact that she is no longer a good guy, good girl, whatever, you know? And if Bianca is going to side with Naomi, that makes it even tougher for us to buy into Jade. Jade comes off as a heel. So how they're going to do this is going to be interesting. I would like to see Bianca and Naomi eventually team up and attack Jade and go super heel. But how they do that is going to be interesting. And like I said, the WWE does a very good job of thinking that they're going to go one way and completely going an opposite way. So it is very, very possible that we can get a reason that is revealed of why Naomi attacked Jade. Maybe it was because she found out that Jade was doing something that was very heelish, and she did that to protect Bianca. Now that is a story that they have not talked about, very few have mentioned, is just, you know, heel face dynamic. This can be very, very complex, and in the complexity, inside of that complexity, we can find out that Jade was using Bianca, and that pissed off Naomi, and Naomi went to confront her. Jade threatened her somehow, turned around, and Naomi attacked. If that is the case, then I can see that really working in that favor, because Jade is a heel here, and that can really, really add that extra dynamic so that we still have Jade as a heel and that we can get the crowd back behind Bianca and Naomi. So that is a story that they have yet to explore. I am interested to see if they do go in that direction. It's a little outside of the box from what you're normally hearing, but I don't think that we have clearly defined what Naomi did as a heel tactic just yet. And that backstage promo, or empty arena promo, that Kathy Kelly conducted with Jade before Liv Morgan and Raquel Rodriguez interrupted was interesting, to say the least. It didn't endear me to Jade Cargill the way that I was endeared to Bianca and Naomi in the tearful promo that they cut the previous week. On top of that, speaking of the heel face dynamic and how hard it's going to be to get us to side with one versus the other with Solo Sikoa and Jacob Fatu. They don't seem to be in a hurry to split them up, but we have seen the seeds planted as far as a breakup between the two. It's only a matter of time. They're running out of time to do this breakup that leads to a match at WrestleMania. So whether the breakup happens at WrestleMania or after WrestleMania or just before WrestleMania, there is definitely going to be a split between Jacob Fatu and Solo Sikoa. What I had envisioned was that eventually the Usos were going to come to the aid of their little brother who got mixed up with a bad crew that was there to protect him as he tried to usurp the throne that was left empty from Roman Reigns. And then what ends up happening is that Solo reunites with the Usos to go against Tanga Loa, Tama Tonga, and Jacob Fatu. Somewhere in between all of that speculation and theory on my part, the crowd became infatuated with Jacob Fatu, which makes it so much harder to buy into Solo Sikoa getting cheered in this regard. The crowd loves to boo Solo Sikoa and they love to cheer Jacob Fatu. So how do they do this? It's going to take a lot more than the Usos coming to the aid of Solo Sikoa. It might take a fist bump from Roman Reigns. It might take some stuff from LA Knight. They're going to have to really throw everything at this to get the crowd to cheer Solo over Jacob because they really want to cheer Jacob Fatu. And I can't see the crowd really booing Jacob, and I don't see it working where the Usos side with Jacob Fatu over Solo Sikoa and Tanga Loa and Tama Tonga. That is possible, but the way that the story is being written here, in my eyes, the way that I see it playing out, is that Solo reunites with his brothers and they go against the bad crew. That's how I see it going. But it'll be interesting to see how they play this out. And in all of this, Hikuleu, the other brother of Tama Tonga and Tanga Loa, is still swimming around, as is Zilla Fatu, the younger brother of Jacob Fatu, that is circling around as well. So it'll be interesting to see how they play that storyline out. But how I see it ending is eventually you get the bad crew and Jacob Fatu, Tanga Loa, Tama Tonga against the Usos and Solo Sikoa. But it'll remain to be seen how they go about that story. And finally, CM Punk, Seth Rollins, and Roman Reigns and their story. Now, CM Punk, throughout all of this, because it seems to be leading to a triple threat at WrestleMania, seems to me that we're going to get CM Punk, Seth Rollins, and Roman Reigns in the same ring at the same time at WrestleMania. And then above all of that is the story, the CM Punk favor, and what is exactly that favor. So I'm going to let you know what I believe that favor is. And before I get to that, we're going to talk about Seth Rollins and Roman Reigns and CM Punk and how this is going to be played out. Eventually, this is going to be something that cannot be contained on Raw and on SmackDown, and they're going to have to come together and figure this out. And I believe that's when we get to our triple threat. I think it's going to be a great match. I know a lot of people are indifferent about it because there's a lack of stakes involved. I think there can be still some huge stakes implemented in this match, whether it be number one contender, whether it be Roman Reigns and Seth Rollins with the winner facing CM Punk later on in that night. I mean, there's so many different ways that they can go about this. CM Punk, a historian. There's obviously the WrestleMania 10 story where it was Bret Hart against Owen Hart and Lex Luger against Yokozuna. And I mean, there was so many stories that went along with basically a one-night tournament to get to Bret Hart winning the WWF Championship at the end of WrestleMania 10. So there's ways that they can go about this. Callbacks to previous stories can be brought to the front here. But with the favor, in my opinion, for CM Punk, I think it is leading to CM Punk asking Paul Heyman, the wise man, to accompany him to the ring at WrestleMania for old time's sake. And in doing so, it's not a heel tactic. He's not, I mean, it could slightly be a kind gesture to Paul Heyman and a jab at Roman Reigns at the same time. But the way that it looks, it can be a sweet gesture. CM Punk it's his first WrestleMania back, and he would like Paul Heyman in his corner, and that's the favor that he's asking. That puts Roman Reigns at a disadvantage because now Roman is going to be coming out without Paul Heyman. That puts a little shift and tension between those two. It also puts a lot of momentum in Seth Rollins because Seth Rollins can build that up by playing the two against each other, and that can cause a lot of tension as well. They could also look to get at Seth Rollins being weaselly and trying to pit those two against each other. So it adds an interesting dynamic into that triple threat match. But that's how I see it going in that regard. Now, on the other side of that, I do see Roman Reigns winning the triple threat currently. If CM Punk is going to be accompanied by Paul Heyman in this match, Paul Heyman might cost CM Punk inadvertently or on purpose this triple threat match, giving Roman Reigns the win. That is something that we need to pay attention to as well. But these are all stories, pivotal top stories that I've been watching in the WWE that I just wanted to give my 2 cents on and let you know where I see them playing out. There are countless other stories that are being built up in the WWE, and I really love the fact that they're doing the work of putting in the details and taking their time to build all this up. So I thought I would spend a little time with you guys to go over these 4 storylines and where I see them going and how I see them playing out. So I hope you enjoyed this. Thumbs up on the way out, you guys. If you don't mind, hit the subscribe button. It is free. It costs you nothing, and it can give you access to more and more videos as I drop them from the portal of pro wrestling. So until next time, you guys, I'm the Wrestling Old Head saying, stay tuned for more. I'll see you next time, you guys.